All right, here we go. Wednesday night. Petro's here. The late night happy hour. A little earlier. We go 9 o'clock Pacific, 11 Central. Fired up. A lot of good stuff to get into, as I was telling Petro nice stories before the show. So we'll let people jump in.
You're so festive, Steve.
I am. I got my flashing lights. I've got so many lights that I've gotten over the years. I can't really find anywhere to hang them. So I was like, I'll just put some in the studio / office. But I'm gonna find a place around this freaking house or outside to hang the rest of them.
I feel like I feel like I'm letting you down. Like I need some lights in here and mood lighting. And is that just the screen lighting up your face, or do you have like a studio light as well?
It's just the screen. You know, it's funny. I have studio lights. They're in another room, and then I have a mini light. I should go get that. That's a good idea.
So the studio lights are not in the studio.
No, they're not, because normally there's no reason for it. But the producer,
why would the studio lights?
They literally are
be in the studio.
They're sitting in a room with a pile of junk. It's like many things I buy. I buy it, I use it for 2 weeks, and then I'm like, I don't like it.
Okay.
The entire house is filled with shit that I thought was a good idea. 98% of it is never used. So I work the budget like no other guy in radio. So
yeah, I like that. The description of the house. Shit I thought was a good idea.
Yeah. And it's always rough this time of year because this is when I'm kind of feeling good and I buy stuff, especially Black Friday. I avoided Black Friday this year, but usually I just pile up stuff and I never set it up or set it up like a year later. So
what percentage of shit I thought was a good idea falls in the exercise category?
You know what? I don't make that mistake. I've never purchased outside of like maybe like an ab wheel, something small, less than $20, maybe. I have nothing of any value. There's no Peloton. There's no whatever. What do you have? You have like, don't you have like 5 treadmills in your house?
No, I have 1 treadmill, 1 elliptical. I have a heavy bag that has been moved into the storage area.
Yeah, there you go.
Was not getting quite the use. I fought for it to be in a more accessible place.
Right.
But I'm always like about throwing crap away. I'm like, if you haven't used it in a year, it needs to be thrown away. And it has not been a year, but I would like to use the heavy bag every day. But like it was already pushed in a corner where the speed bag on the other side couldn't be used unless you like suddenly became 80 pounds and could wedge in between the in between the wall. So I finally had to go like, all right, that goes into the storage area. All right. And so that's out. And, but now it's like a good exercise room that I did walk through and look at earlier today. Took a look. Almost got it going.
Yeah, it's close.
Someone called. I got busy.
Better than just being a towel rack. I was at a friend's house like 3 days ago. We distanced. And he has this like sweet setup with some lights in his backyard, his side yard, actually. He's got a big side yard. And it's like a string of these. I think they're called, I don't know, like Edison bulbs in the lights. I don't know what they are. But he's got it spanning out. And it's nice, right? And then I look at the houses, that's anchoring some of the lights. And then it goes to a point, and it's actually some like giant like fly bench that had none of the, it's just the frame of the fly bench, and the top is all tied with lights. I'm like, you're getting
the exercise equipment is being used, just not for what it was designed for.
It's an anchor outside.
Yeah.
All right. Uh-oh. We have some audio for you later on, Ferrari Mahomes. You might not be happy with this one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Bowflex is a coat rack. Yep.
Sure.
Typical. So you and I both recognize we're a bit chubby. We're not athletic anymore. We were great athletes in the past, but really not. But there are times, most of the time, we're talking to people when we interview athletes they're tremendous. They're like next level, like way above any high school great athlete we knew. And every once in a while, I'll be in a conversation or just after, and I asked a question, and I was like real upfront with it. And I'm so waiting for one of the former athletes or a current athlete to be like, "The fuck did you just ask me?"
In what way? Why do you routinely ask stupid questions?
Well, no, like you'll ask about their past, and maybe you'll bring up like, negative moments, right? But you have a good enough relationship that it's kind of lighthearted. But every once in a while, you just want an athlete to be like, you did nothing. You never achieved. Like I played, you pissant.
Yeah, but see, I actually, I don't know that anything's ever come out of your mouth that I would push back harder on. Right? Did you so you think an acceptable response when a guy goes, yeah, can you take me through that play and tell me how you made that mistake? Did you ever play this game? You think that's an acceptable response?
It's not. No, coming back, no, it's not like that. But I expect people to snap. But it's even like other realms. Like you talk to, there's more than a few times I've talked to someone who's like a veteran or whatever. We interviewed on Sirius XM one time. We interviewed someone who had been like accomplished in the space program. And you're just like, after you get done, you're like, God, that was like a super impressive person I was talking to.
Oh, yeah. From that standpoint,
I am a buffoon, and I don't even know how am I allowed to talk to this person.
From that standpoint, yes. Like when I covered the Army-Navy game last year,
yes,
and you talk to the guy who was Heisman Trophy winner. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Last Service Academy Heisman Trophy winner. He was like a general. He was like chief of staff, or he had all these posts, and you're like, and you're talking to me. Why? Like, what are you giving? What's the point? Fatty with Mike, like why are you here? And there was that was the one time that I will tell you, athletically when you're at the Super Bowl and Mike Vick comes by and Donovan McNabb comes by and Bernard Hopkins comes by and I'm just thinking of last year in Miami, some of the people we had on the show, and you're like, yeah, there are all these incredibly accomplished athletes, but never did I have a moment where I was like, holy cow, this side of the table, because at the Army-Navy radio row, which is much smaller, obviously, than the Super Bowl, but all the talk show hosts are on one side, right? And so that the guests can literally just go side to side to side as they move down the tables. And literally you could just see it's like hacks accomplished, right? Like sucking off the teat of America and defending and building America. There couldn't have been in the scales of like what I am literally just a leech. Yeah. And these are the people that have allowed me to have a life. And so that, yes, from that standpoint, I've had that moment. Should anybody like the head of the Naval Academy or the secretary of the Navy who was there, the secretary of the Army that was there, were any of those people to look at me and be like, wait a minute, why am I wasting my time with you? I'd have been like, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
Pyro set it up. Yeah. I don't know. You got to talk to him. I don't know why. I don't deserve to be talking to you. So from that standpoint, yes, I get what you're talking about.
Hey, Soren, do me a favor. Jump out of the room because you're breaking up a bunch, or I know you've had an issue in the past. Maybe you're running on something different tonight. But if you want to.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll jump out real quick, but shouldn't be, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'll tell the audience, my other problem with that, because I'll step back after an interview and be like, wow, that was a really impressive person. There's also times, though, in front of an interview, I don't really assess the situation correctly. And like we'll be offered a guest, right? And I'm like, who cares? And then after, an hour or two, I'm like, why didn't I just take that person? That would have been a really good conversation. And by the way, some eggnog, some spiked eggnog. So not bad. In a cat tumbler. Very manly of me. Very manly of me. I got an offer. I was on remote in New York. We were I forget what event we were covering, but it was sometime in 2000, and we're doing a show. And I told these stories many times. We'd get to do remotes at a place called the All-Star Cafe. So, Petro, I was just talking about my judgment also is flawed the other way. Sometimes I will turn people down and then not realizing that was a good spot you just turned down. But sometimes I'm in kind of ass-holy show mode, and I'm like, no, rigid. I didn't have this in the plan today, right? I've lightened up on that. I'm like, yeah, we'll take it.
We have high show standards. Like that guest is not good enough for this high-quality, important broadcast that I am putting on. Are you talking about that? Or no, you just can't be interrupted?
Little both, but I'll admit, as I just said a couple minutes ago, I'll get done talking to someone and I'm like, that was crazy that I got to talk to the person. But there's a lot of times where I'll be offered someone and I'm like, I don't care, like, I think part of doing this, like, you need to be respectful when you're talking to important people, but I also think you need to be comfortable. And I'm comfortable. I'm really outside of, I could name maybe 5 people I've talked to or been around where I was like, ooh, a little bit nervous. Beyond that, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's just a person. Right.
Right.
And I was at the All-Star Cafe in 2000. It was Sports Pig and I don't know. I was in one of those moods where, like, you start getting irked at the producer and guest booking. And it's like, we start a segment. It's like 5:02, right? And Steve Lyons is on, right? He's breaking down baseball. Actually, he was coming on 2 minutes before the spot, and we were working on another guest who was in the building. Someone comes up, the rep, and they're like, yeah, we have Mayor Giuliani. He's available right now. And I'm like, no. Yeah. Like, I have Steve Lyons. We're not doing it. And then a year later, he's America's mayor. And then 19 years later, he's a complete crazy asshole. So guess what? I was right. Yeah. I turned him down.
You were
years later. He's nuts.
You were actually wrong, because now you have no tape of having interviewed the man.
That's a good point.
I will tell you that when President Trump was at the American Century Championships in Lake Tahoe, before he was the president of the United States, obviously, and you'll remember what happened at that one. That was Ben Roethlisberger accused of rape. That was Ben Roethlisberger escorting Stormy Daniels back to her room.
Oh, wow.
I did at least ask then Donald Trump, hey, do you got some time? To which he turned his back to me.
Yeah.
I took that to mean no. It may have mean be ready in 15 because I'm going to be over here after hitting balls. I took it to mean no.
God, you can read minds. So this whole setup was for this, right? Like, how you behave around people who may be more accomplished than you, are impressive characters. So Dan Gable, the legendary Iowa wrestler and just as legendary Iowa wrestling coach, 14 national titles for wrestling fans. Did he win 3 of 4?
How do we go from my Donald Trump story to Dan Gable wrestling coach?
Watch. So for wrestling folks, Gable 3 of 4, and he lost his final match. He was like 171-1, or was he going for like his 3rd title, whatever it was? He lost one goddamn time, and it was his final match.
Yeah, he'd never lost. He was a 3-time national champion and going for his 4th, and then of course he's won numerous championships as a coach too.
Right. So Dan Gable is a Trump supporter, right? Just like Lou Holtz. So Lou Holtz got the Medal of Freedom about a week ago. President Trump was like, you know what? He doesn't say this publicly, but like, I want my supporters in here, right? I'm feeling kind of bad right now. I need the love. He's always needed the love. He brings Dan Gable to the White House, right? I'm going to show you one clip. We gotta stay down because I think it'll peek out. But like, Trump makes a joke, but I kind of think he's serious, and no one really stands up to him. I just want you to listen to Dan Gable here as Trump jokes about wrestling each other. So let me punch this up. And this is kind of the scenario I talked about in the beginning, where you're like, there's some guys you don't really joke with, especially about their athletic achievements and who they were and what level they were at. So here's Trump. He's giving a speech. There's Gable, right?
Right.
One of our all-time, amateur wrestlers.
By the way, Gable is a super serious guy. I don't know how he is in this because I haven't seen this video. But as a guy, like, if you read books or read stories about how intense he was, how he trained, he was like just a sick workout guy, and then focus as a wrestling coach. He's like Belichick on steroids.
Yeah. Okay, you ready? He's Belichick on steroids. Here we go.
Now, I'm larger than you a little bit. Do you think I could take you in wrestling, huh? Would I have a big advantage?
You would have no chance.
Look at his face, too. Gable's like, he ain't laughing. I'm bigger than you. You think I'd have a chance?
No, Dan Gable would twist you into a pretzel inside 10 seconds.
He's like, it's funny. Like, no, he'll fucking break you in half right now. He does not give a shit. You're older than him. You're morbidly obese. You could line up, most whatever sub 40-year-olds in this country, 18 to 40 years old, and 72-year-old Dan Gable would whip your ass.
Yes.
And I'm sure
you can tell he's a stout guy standing there.
Yep. Let me see if he says anything else goofy.
What do you think? I agree. You agree with that, John? I do. I agree. He's the expert. He's the expert.
Yeah, he's the expert. Yeah.
Now I'm larger than.
That's what he is.
Now I'm larger than you a little
time.
bit. You think I could take you in wrestling? Huh? Would I have a big advantage?
You would have no chance.
I love that. But the
president played it off.
That right there is the president, though. You know, it's like, let me do this. Let me joke around with him. Let's see what happens. So part 2 of this video is awesome.
Oh, there's more. Wait, there's more.
Oh, this is even better. They get done. He gives them the medal.
One more question.
Yeah. Get done. Gives them the medal. It's a pretty quick process. And there's some media gathered in the Oval Office, right? So at that point, I don't even know if they got a question off, but someone tries to ask, a non-Dan Gable related question.
Okay.
Watch President Trump at a guy he invited to the White House, one of his supporters.
Mr. President, one more question about the inauguration. Thank you very much.
Anything on Bill Barr, sir?
Dan Gable's like, all right. He's like, what the fuck?
I guess we're done here.
Okay. Like, what are you doing?
Is he upset at the media? Is he looking at the media like, why are you ruining my day? Or is he just like, I can't believe the guy just walked out?
No, let's see.
Congratulations, sir. He's gone.
He goes, he's gone. I'm sorry, man. That's hilarious.
Having never been to these, I don't know how these work. Are they all that awkward? Like, okay, press moment, photo time over, president gone. And so this one's just getting blown out there? Or is there usually a little bit more of a, all right, yeah, good to see you. Take care. I don't know. I've never been to one of those.
God, it would have been great if he ran behind him, just got him in like a full Nelson.
You're not leaving. This is my kids.
Yeah, you're bigger.
This is my kids.
You're bigger, huh? Get out of this, brother. Let's go.
Get out here and take a picture.
I don't know why I just went pro wrestling with Dan Gable. That was a mistake. Well, I'm like, get out of this, brother. It's not Hulk Hogan getting the Medal of Freedom. But I'm sure the Hulkster is a candidate before January 21st.
That could be next week's big affair.
All right, ready for one more?
This is probably not, but
no.
I was not made aware of any of the videos that are coming at me here.
Yeah. This is another what the blank moment. It's I'm just telling you, man. Just telling you. Don't use
we're in a valley right now and we're down, but we're not out. We're in a valley right now and we're down, but we're not out. Just the other day was Pearl Harbor Day. One of the biggest defeats this country's had, and we bounced back from that. And I kind of use that as an example with my staff the other day. We're down and out, but we're not there yet. So we're going to finish this season out the right way, and today we're going to start with a good day of practice.
Did you notice how even in that, how long is that thing? 20 seconds? He went from we're down but not out to we're down and out but not dead.
He's struggling.
Guy, good football coach, right? We're talking about the 32 NFL head coaches should be the 32 best coaches in the world. They're probably not. Nick Saban belongs in there somewhere, right? A handful of college coaches, but they're 32 of the best in the world to get there. But you just see the massive difference between number 26 and 1 or 2 up in the Belichick-Reed era. Yeah, your level. Hey, listen, there's always a slogan in football. Listen, I think Eli Drinkwitz of Missouri is an absolute rock star. I think we talked about this on this early. If not, I talked about it on my show that the first of all, when I heard he got $4 million to go to Mizzou after being at App State for 1 year, I'm like, what is going on that this guy got $4 million? You dig in, do some research. Mizzou was competing, it seems like, with Arkansas, right? Good thing he beat Arkansas. Competing heavily with Arkansas to get him. So there was a bidding war for him. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this guy's got. And now every time I've seen him conduct a press conference, I'm like, that, he handles that part of it. plus then the people I talk to who have been around him as far as coaching and in the past, and he's really highly thought of by everyone I talk to. Point being, the cliche, he unleashed like 7 cliches in his last 30-minute press conference. And at one point I asked him, I said, I said, how do you he mentioned, I thought he was going out and making a public statement, build the indoor practice facility, right? Like that was probably promised to him that is coming. And here we go. But then everybody loses $30 million off their athletic budget. Maybe it's being moved back. And he's like, whoa. Maybe his agents called him and said, Texas is feeling around, USC's feeling around, whoever it might be, right? There's some job out there. He knows he's got leverage. He's like, we're not backing up the indoor facility, right? I have no idea. That's all 100% speculation. But I know 3 times he mentioned an indoor practice facility. 3 times he mentioned building the indoor practice facility. So I asked him, I said, look, I understand you got success going on. You guys are having a good year. I said, it's kind of the chicken and the egg, right? If you win, we'll build you the facilities. Well, if you build me the facilities, I'll win. You clearly need a symbiotic relationship. How do you make that work? And I can't even remember what they were, but he rambled off maximum input equals maximum output, like 3, just cliches that he had clearly said a million times. I call them cliches, but I'd also they might call them core values. Coaches like to call them core values, right? And when he did it, I kind of laughed. I was like, okay, right? And I smiled, and I'm assuming he can see all our faces there, right? Well, probably in the his face big, or whoever asked the question is big. And he goes, look, listen, I can sit here and throw cliches at you all day, but the bottom line is this. And then he went and he expanded upon what it was and how, building a program and all that kind of stuff. To which I'm like, that's as good a response and thinking on your feet as you can get. Like, you just heard yourself. You're like, I have been a machine gun of cliches here. So I'm going to stop doing the cliches and I'm going to expand upon this answer and I'm going to give a really good answer. And his answer was really good. And, he understands it's one of the reasons in listening to particularly college coaches over the years, how I ended up naming my show The Program, because a program is more than a team or this year's edition of it. Like when you hear these guys talk about it and building their culture and getting in with the high school coaches and, all the different things that go into it, I'm like, that really kind of defines winning and what it takes to win in sports. So I always like that. And this guy has it. So it is like I hear Anthony Lynn go through the cliches, but I don't hear okay, I know you're looking at me like, what the hell is this guy talking about? and so let me give you real answers. At no point did he, and he's probably looking at the face of whoever asked him the question, at no point does he read the room and go, wait a minute, hang on, let me give a real answer, because that's going to go over like a lead balloon. And that's why the guy's not a head coach. That's why I know Eli Drinkwitz is a head coach. He may reach a ceiling someday. Maybe that Mizzou's as good as it gets. Maybe college is as good as it gets. Maybe he's a mediocre NFL coach. Maybe he's the best coach ever, right? Everybody reaches their ceiling somewhere. Even, Bill Belichick can't win every Super Bowl. But I know right now he can handle this job because he can read the room. He can see what's going on, and he's about his wits in the middle of an answer where Anthony Lynn is drowning.
Put some thought to this one if you can't come up with a name now. All right, there I am. Have you had a person or a prediction where you're like, yep, that's one of the dudes. Like, that's going to be a good coach. And it turned out later on, you're like, oh, fuck, I misread that one.
Well, I will say that, we did one of the things I like is how does it end, right? I particularly like it with coaches. Like right now, Bruce Weber losing to Division II Florida State. How does it end? And we've asked that question many times, only for him to get more contract extensions. So back to him in a minute. But I will tell you that how does it end with Mizzou? I said Eli Drinkwitz goes Matt Rule and is hired by an NFL team. Right? I'm like, go big or go home. Probably more likely, he gets a contract extension in Mizzou. Maybe he gets hired for a bigger job. Maybe ends up being a Gary Pinkel and does 18 years or 15 years or whatever Gary Pinkel did at Mizzou. But I really do think that guy's got stardom written on him. And so my prediction was that he will be hired like Matt Rule to an NFL head coaching job from Missouri. Right?
Yeah, I agree
Rule, from Baylor, kind of skipped that step of Baylor to Florida or Baylor to USC to the NFL. Right? Boom, right there. And I think Drinkwitz has got some of those qualities. But you talk about tanking it. I did say Bruce Weber would not last 4 years in Manhattan as the head coach.
Oh, wow.
And he's now on year 10.
All right.
Right? Year 10, year 9. Year 9, I think he's 5 NCAA tournaments in 8 years, an Elite 8, and 2 co-championships of the Big 12. And I said he doesn't make it 4 years. I said, good coach, but if he can't get talent at Illinois, how will he get talent at K-State? And Doug Gottlieb was one that actually kind of, bumped back him. He's like, Illinois is a rougher job than you think, which is actually part of the reason why he's now in more trouble than he's probably been in, because Brad Underwood is a native son of K-State, and K-State fans wanted him. They wanted him to replace Frank Martin if Frank Martin was going to go, and when Frank Martin left, Brad Underwood was their number one choice. And so to see him go to Stephen F. Austin, 1 year at Oklahoma State, now to Illinois, and beating Duke at Duke, it's not just that they only won 3 league games and 11 games overall last year. Everyone knew last year was going to be a step back for Bruce Weber and K-State. It's the fact that they look worse this year, losing to
Florida. Look worse. Yep.
And, Brad Underwood is beating, who was not just proving to be a good coach, but was a really popular guy and a really good interview, right? So you get, and Bruce is his worst PR nightmare, right? You got Brad Underwood doing that, and so it puts Bruce Weber back under the gun at K-State, because you're like, well, that's the guy we wanted, and every fan who wanted him is going, I was right. See, that guy's a stud, and I think every K-State fan knows he's already gone beyond K-State. There's no coming back from Illinois to K-State unless he falls at Illinois. Then you can get him on the rebound. And then Bruce Weber, goes to the podium last night and says, we're a young team. We've been down before. I accept responsibility, but we've accomplished a lot here. Elite 8.
Oh,
Elite
no.
8. Like, no. Read the room, Bruce. Like, not just fall on the sword. Gag on the sword. My fault. My bad. This is unacceptable. I didn't have him ready to play. And when you start kind of giving, like, have you seen my resume over there?
Yeah.
Like, that does not play well.
Don't care.
But I was very wrong. I said he wouldn't make it 4 years, and he's been significantly better than that in Manhattan.
So much of it is not knowing someone's character. Like you watch a coach from afar and you don't really have inside info on someone. The more you've heard over the years about Tom Verman, I thought it was a great hire, but I don't know if it's a disaster, but it's like he's not going to be a 10-win guy there. They want to win national championships, and he's kind of a low character dude.
Put up Hamilton 2R's Quinn Snyder one.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I'm with you on Tom Herman. I'm like, this makes perfect sense, right? You don't know all the background. And same thing with Quinn Snyder at Missouri. Quinn Snyder is obviously a very good coach with the Utah Jazz, right? He's stood watch on that and built them into a team that I know they lost in the first round of the Nuggets, but they gave him everything they could want. He's developing a superstar there. Quinn Snyder can clearly coach basketball, and he could coach basketball when he was at Missouri. I equate Tom Herman, Quinn Snyder. I'll throw in Scott Pioli, hired as general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs. All of them are good hires. They just didn't work.
Right.
Hiring the 3-time executive of the year to run your program and give him the keys and say, do whatever you got to do for the Kansas City Chiefs does not make Clark Hunt a moron. It just didn't work. Mizzou hiring Quinn Snyder, one of the lead assistants who's responsible for getting the one-and-done caliber talent, or at the time, what was 2 and 3 and done at Duke as an assistant coach, and having it not work, that's not a bad hire. It just didn't work. And if Tom Herman doesn't work at Texas, being Urban Meyer's understudy and the guy that's credited for a lot of his recruiting, that's not a bad hire. It just didn't work.
Right. So it may work at another stop. Maybe. I bet.
Yeah, granted, that's easy for us as talk show hosts to be like, right, I wasn't wrong. Like that hire made sense. It just didn't work. If you're the athletic director, do that twice, you're still fired because you're in the get it right business.
Right. How about this? If when Coach K walks away, wouldn't Quinn Snyder once again be in the top 5 for a job at Duke?
It's amazing how full circle he's come. But yeah, I think with the NBA scent on him, the cologne of NBA success, yeah, he'd definitely be in the top 5. I personally expect Duke to go with his hand-picked guy and have that suck, right? Bill Guthridge will be the replacement. He's going to go for one of his guys, and that's going to end up probably being a disaster. But we'll see. People will be like, Coach K's earned the right to name his successor. Okay. I mean, Duke should hire the best coach. Whatever Coach K's done, hire the best coach, no matter what it takes.
Les Miles, bad hire, rough timing with COVID and all this shit.
It's rough timing for everybody, but there's no way you can say it's a great hire right now. You either say to be determined, the job was so low, can't make a judgment until he's had 3 or 4 years, or you say right now all returns look like shit. Because he doesn't win his press conferences. Like, people come away from his press conferences legitimately concerned whether or not he has a medical condition. I mean, and I'm not joking.
Is that right? They're that bad?
It is that bad. 100%. There are people that will tell you. Danny Clinkscale comes on my show, and he said, he's like, I legitimately, people wonder, there's constantly these rumors that he's going to step down because of health reasons. And I think it's because he gets asked a question, and there's this ridiculously long, uncomfortable pause. He looks down, shuffles through his notes, and then starts talking about something not related to the question. And, it's not inspirational. I said this. I said, look, if he goes 9-3, he's a character, right? He goes 0 and, whatever they're going to play this year, 8 or 9 or 10. And with those answers, it's a disaster, right? Like, you can be quirky and off the wall and goofy. If you're winning, they'll find that charming, right? But when you lose, enough of it. Lou Holtz's lisp is great when he's winning a championship at Notre Dame. At South Carolina, when it was starting to bottom out, they'd had enough of Lou, and if we're talking about this, they wanted somebody else. Get out of here, right? And he was getting pounded. So, I mean,
I think to Eddie's question, I think almost every coach, unless he was already entering the season as a lame duck and right on the precipice, I think most coaches should get a COVID pass this season, because we have no idea what's been going on behind the scenes in terms of limitations, tracing, how many people have been at practice. This season has been a goddamn nightmare for most of the coaches, just trying to put a team on the field.
Put a percentage on what most means.
Oh, most programs?
No, you said most coaches should get a pass. Give me the percentage.
90%.
Okay. So a 10% turnover, or 90% of the coaches that look like they could be fired should get a pass, and so like 1% of the coaches should be fired.
Well, I guess it would have to be. Well, it depends on expectations. I would think most fans, if they played 8 or 9 games, most fans who expect a competitive team and their team won like 4, they're pissed. Doesn't mean it's a fireable deal, but you have to understand, you don't have the same team week to week, and you certainly that's behind the scenes to prep. You certainly don't have it on the field. It's different every freaking game. And there's also the middle of the week. You're like, all right, are we going to play? Now, something else to throw in there. There have been programs that have been disasters with COVID, and I think some of it could be bad luck. I also think some of it has been horrific mismanagement and possibly, a COVID hoaxing attitude from the head coach and guys on the staff that rolls down to the players, and then you've got an entire program that isn't taking it seriously. And actually, we had a guy on today who calls some Mountain West Conference games. He does some stuff for K-Fan. Dude, Ron Johnson, who played at Minnesota, so he's very much into the Gophers. And I asked him about Minnesota and hey, clearly they were affected by COVID, but row the boat guy, Fleck, it's been from 3 weeks before the season all the way through. They never got out of it.
Yeah.
Is that bad?
Well, first of all, Minnesota's been one of the highest infection rates around, so he's trying to, put this college football team together. Yeah, and it is. It's anybody who said, well, I am not going to hold this season against my coach because of COVID, I'm not arguing.
Right?
I won't argue it. So you're the athletic director and you want to keep your guy, you'll get no argument from me. I will say this. I was stunned that Danny Manning was fired last year. He's the only – can you remember a basketball coach that was fired last year? They shut the season down. And Danny Manning was fired being owed $10 million. Now, they immediately said, oh, no, we've got reasons and we're not paying the buyout. And so it was one of those, just as Kansas did with David Beatty in football, which is a new phenomenon of giving all these huge buyouts and then not wanting to pay him and then trying to find a reason why you're not going to pay him. Kansas ultimately settled with David Beatty. I had on Jeff Long, the athletic director, and he said that there would have been no settlement had it not been for the COVID environment and the fact that, revenues were going away within the program. So it was best to just be done with it and move on. Most people would tell you, pay him off and move on. That mindset should have been true before the pandemic hit. But I was stunned that Danny Manning got let go. But that's the only guy I remember being let go in college basketball. And we haven't gotten to college football yet for that firings to really happen. Although Vanderbilt did fire Mason. And I think so much of it depends on his buyout. Like Bruce Weber's buyout is $2 million before April 30th of 21. And at a time that Kansas State, which doesn't have the same kind of an endowment that a Texas does, right? And is trying to run out there a $90+ million athletic budget, and they're losing 20-30% of their revenue. They really need their ticket revenue in the football stadium, and they don't have it. I find it hard to believe that they're going to pay $2 million to Bruce Weber when they're probably having to go to boosters and say, listen, we're taking out loans just to pay the light bill right now. So I think you can talk about whether a guy should, but who's going to pay it? And the problem is it's a catch-22 because you're asking your booster for $2 million just to, fund how much you're coming up short with the COVID problem. And then you say, and we want to get rid of this coach. It's like, well, I'm not happy with the basketball program. Your mess, you fix it. Why would I give you $2 million to fix the basketball program? I'll give you $2 million when the basketball program's winning, right? I've talked to a number of money guys that are like, when it's like, you got to prove to me that I'm investing in something. They are not happy to pay buyouts. Like that pisses them off. Unless you really you got a guy who really hates the coach and goes, screw it, I'll write the check. But that doesn't happen near as often as everybody thinks. Money guys like their money.
Let's talk coaching just based on what we're seeing. Don't worry about COVID. At what point do you push out an older coach?
Talking Jim Boeheim, obviously, because it's like stick it to Petro Wednesday. Is that what's going on here?
I mean,
start with political videos and roll into.
You had good stuff.
I thought I navigated that well, don't you?
It's not just him. It's Coach K. It's starting to become Roy Williams. It's a legit question at a lot of places. Sometimes
Coach K at number 10 in the country, we're asking whether or not it's over.
Say it again.
Roy at 15, we're asking that question. I actually am. I asked the question to Gary Parrish today about Bay. Well, I actually didn't get to it. I ran out of time, but would have asked the question. It was on my list. Roy Williams and Boeheim. Boeheim, it's front and center. Absolute conversation. There goes the Rutgers ad. Yeah. Nice. First win in 40 years against Syracuse?
Since 2003. The all-time series is more competitive, 10 versus 39.
Yeah. Okay. Which congratulations, and you got a good team. By the way, the fact that it was that close is embarrassing.
I agree. I was going back and forth with our buddy Ryan, right, as I do during games, and I told him early on, I was like, they should be up 25-10 right now. They've missed so many fucking layups. This is ridiculous. This is Rutgers and Syracuse, and then
in our defense, the long zone, which is not very long up front, you can see when you've got a chunky white guy playing point guard. That's not your typical Syracuse front two.
No. I know
that zone does make a lot of teams. Everybody I talk to who plays Syracuse comes away talking about all the layups they missed. Yeah. That is part of what the zone does.
I actually, because I had bet Syracuse before the game +4. There was a run before the half where Syracuse got to within 4, and I messaged our buddy, and I was like, yeah, I'm turning the game off. I'm watching it later. And at that point, I bet money line Syracuse. I was like, fuck this. They blew their opportunity. That was a terrible 8 minutes of basketball. So in the end, Rutgers went on a big run, 17-4, and closed out the game. So yeah,
does anybody lose more money around their teams than you?
Well, because I love betting against them. So if they actually hit like 60% ATS, then I'm going to lose. So
yeah, yeah. So listen, to your point, to your original point,
yeah.
I think it does look like it's done at Syracuse because there's nothing like about the recruiting. He had the number 3 or 4 kid in the country in 22, in the 22 class, like pre-committed. Maybe it was 21. I think it was the 22 class, a point guard, top 5 kid, and that kid already decommitted. Like that was the only reason you'd be like, well, he's still getting the big recruits. And now that's, when that kid bailed.
It always feels like he's like piecing together a team, and it's like, it's Syracuse. you shouldn't have to piece together the team, and you should have enough layers that you've always got that next.
It should look like Kansas. Like when Kansas has the investigation hit them, and you go like, who the hell are these guys? And you say Abaji's number. I went through this today. Abaji's number 130. Wilson's number 120 something. Christian Brown's number 120 something. They're outside the top 100 kids, and he's number 5 in the country.
Yep.
Now Bill Self is better than Jim Boeheim. Always has been. Always will be. Right.
Yep.
I wish that wasn't the case, but if you're going to cover something accurately, that's a fact. Kansas is a better program than Syracuse. Wish it wasn't true, but it is. It's a fact. And so those two combinations, Bill Self plus Kansas, equals better production. But Bill Self has been. He did get Bryce Thompson, by the way, who is a top 25 recruit, but isn't really the guy who's playing. It isn't. He's kind of on the periphery right now of what they're doing. But he is winning with like what were not the lead. Well, Wilson actually was the lead guy in his class, in his recruiting class over Anaronu and Brown, but it was a class that everyone's like, well, Bill Self didn't get his usual class because of the investigation hanging over his head.
Yep. But here's the thing.
But he's still winning because the players he gets, he's a better scout than any other coach out there. So the guy he gets who's number 127, he knows he can take and will has skills that are really more like number 50. And so it's why when people bitch and go like, well, now the Kansas recruited that guy went from 88 to 55. He should, because Bill Self knows what he's doing. And if you want to accurately rank players, because I think Brown even went from like 187 up to 130 when Bill Self got him, and he's a local KC kid. But like he doesn't just grab any KC kid. So is Abaji, and that was kind of a late grab that he grabbed him. And both those guys, they're ballers. They're legit Big 12 starters and guys that can lead a team in scoring on any given night. And he's put together a team. So yes, to your point, Boeheim is the one who looks like his time has come.
Right. And you know what? Hey, listen, he's older. First of all, he's older than Self, and it gets hard. Yeah, they're recruiting
2 or 3 years older.
Yeah. What is he? 75? 74?
81, isn't he?
No, he's not. Is he 81? Jesus Christ.
I think so. I'm gonna look it up.
What's up, Connor Mack? But to Petro's point, the coaches. Well, I want to continue the conversation we had last week about Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina may even be a little bit down.
76.
Yeah,
so
if you're a good coach, you can win with the guys who are ranked 50 to 200 if you can coach.
Yes.
I don't know that Coach K is a great coach. We don't have to go down that path, but I don't know that he would win with 50 to 150.
So you don't think, and Bill Self is 57, so it's 19 years older, just to be clear. You don't think that the championship he won was Singler, and was it Zubik, and that one? I mean, granted, he beat Butler for the title in what resembled more of rugby than actual basketball, but that's the one where, to me, he validated he can coach. The guy can coach basketball because he's coached the guys that are pretty good and been to Final Fours and championships, and he's coached the one and dones. Now he hasn't won a title with the one and dones, although he did with Harrington, and he did win that one. So he's won one in the one and done era of his program. But and when he won the one with Elton Brand, or did he lose that? He lost that one to Connecticut, right? I'm trying to remember that group win a title.
Yeah, 2014-15, he was 35-4. I don't know, man. It's a pretty decent team. It's not great, but
rattle it off.
Okafor, who was a solid college player, he averaged 17 and 8. Quinn Cook, who's
he's a one and done.
Yeah, Justice Winslow, Tyus Jones, Grayson Allen, Rashid Suleiman was a decent player until he fucked up his life. One of the Plumlees was on there as a backup, so he had a roster. Matt Jones, shooting specialist.
But that's part of coaching. Like that's Boeheim's problem now. He doesn't have a roster. Like you can't ding Boeheim for not having a roster and then ding Coach K for having a roster. Like they're their own GM. That's my biggest bitch is, well, Calipari should have won 5 titles with all that talent. Screw you. Getting the talent is part of the job. And then, by the way, coaching talented guys is not always easy. I mean, you'd rather have it. Roy Williams, Gary Parrish told a great story. He said, he said he was down at one of the Peach Jam. I think it was the Peach Jam. And he said all the coaches had kind of seen the guys and they left. And Roy was still there. And an hour later, Roy's still there. And he goes up to him. He's like, Coach, why are you still there? He goes, I can't make a mistake. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, listen, I think I'm a pretty good coach with talent.
Right.
I don't want to find out if I'm a pretty good coach without talent. Right? That's like being a scout, having an eye for talent like Bill Self, being able to get the guy to commit to you, and then being able to put him in a position to succeed. Like, I think it's really interesting this year, Kansas playing a lot of time 5 out. And
Yep.
Bill Self likes 2 posts, right? He
Love
likes
it.
high-low. And so he's showing his chops. You know, last year with Doak, Azubuike, he was 4 out, 1 in. Now he's 4 out, 1 in when McCormick's in there, and then there's nobody else. He's 5 out when he's not in there. Which 2 games ago against, or what? I don't even know. I don't know. It was not North Dakota State against Kentucky. He only played 19 minutes. McCormick only played 19 minutes, so 21 minutes of the time he did not have a post player.
Small ball.
Coach.
Small ball, it's where it's at. Meanwhile, Roy Williams may have a decent year this year, but having 5 guys who are 6'9" or bigger, I don't know. Good luck.
Well, and to me, I was going to say, if you wanted to say Calipari, Coach K, Bill Self, Roy Williams, right? That's like the big, and Tom Izzo. That's the big 5. Who's closest to taking a step out the door out of those 5? Or to being put to pasture, being asked to take a step out the door? Roy's next, based upon how these teams look this year.
Yeah. He's young. His team is young, but you know, there's no patience at a place like North Carolina. Not that they're going to fire him, but he may say, "Hey, you know, I can't."
But have you seen next year's recruits? I mean, I know Roy's not like Kentucky and Duke, where he'll have 3 of the top 8,
Right.
but it's like 55 and 66 are the only 2 guys signed. That's not really Roy-esque.
Dude, here's the thing though, for this coming year, who knows what you're going to do, because college basketball players can retain their eligibility. So I think
it doesn't. I assume it counts like football, right? Because football, that was cleared up by Drinkwitz. It does not count against your 85 or your 25 for that year.
Right.
So they're complete freebies to the roster. If they're freebies to the basketball roster, it doesn't matter. You can still recruit. Like now, you do if you're telling a kid he's going to play, and you've got a 5th-year senior who's pretty good. It's like, Coach, I'm not playing over that guy. You're going to be loyal to him. Then yes, that will affect who comes in. But don't you think those coaches know as soon as they got a guy, by the way, you got to go. They like all those programs. The reason why they never have a full roster, because there's always a couple of guys that are there in case we don't get this guy. But if we get this guy, son, you're a good player. But, you know, I look forward to watching your career someplace else.
Right. I'll make a call for you. Well, the other thing, too, is when you're Roy Williams, you can also, you can lean on. There's going to be like 1,200 transfers. So there's going to be guys out there. There'll be competition for dudes at smaller levels. I mean, it's amazing. The freaking Ivy League was like a feeder to Power 6, whatever you want to call it in college basketball. There were like 6 guys that people coveted. And who's the other school? Was it Bryant or Sacred Heart? Lost like 4 guys. You're like, what the fuck is going on? But, people miss on kids, and there's great players at mid-major and even smaller who can play at a higher level.
Put up Connor Mack picks. Duke can't shoot deal, because I think one of the things that we're going to watch get readjusted, the Uber at like the recruiting guys who I have immense respect for. Anybody will put their name next to ranking, high school kids, that takes balls. And so if they miss on a kid, screw you. Let me see your list of 250 guys. They've got to figure out, are there lists about how they're going to go in the NBA draft, or are there lists about who's going to impact college basketball? Because the top guys, right? Zion Williamson, tremendous player, number 1 pick in the NBA draft, but not the best player to help you win a national championship in college basketball, right? Like, you can do things to neutralize him, and I think the league has come around, and people come around like Udoka Azubuike, a guy that like gets good position, has a big body, walls guys off, and dunks, and did get better at defending the pick and roll and those things. He eventually was a first-round draft pick, but he wasn't the kind of guy he wasn't Joel Embiid, right? Who was a one-and-done and was clearly, you're like, oh, my God, look at this guy on the floor. Holy shit, he just knocked down a 15-footer like it was nothing. And look how big he is on the inside, right? Like, Azubuike was never that guy. They figured that out in how they rank guys, but I don't think they figured out where the 6'6" wing, Christian Brown, is a really valuable player. He gets 13 rebounds one night, and then one night he'll knock down 5 threes. And another night he'll have 6 assists and lead them in assists. Like, that's a Golden State Warrior player, right? Positionless basketball that he's worked in the weight room, and he's a tough enough kid even as a sophomore that he can go defend a bigger guy, but he moves the ball, he'll find the open man, and he can knock down the three. Three-pointer isn't as consistent as I think it will be. He was a great shooter at Blue Valley North, I think it was. He was a great shooter there, and I think he'll end up being a really good shooter. I think the game's still a little bit fast when it comes to launching a shot, but I think that's going to be better. But when you see his all-around game, you're like, this guy's better than what his ranking was.
So you followed up with Gary Parrish about our discussion we started to have last week about is college basketball down because schools like Gonzaga and Baylor are number 1 and 2. You want to hear it? Actually, I have the audio.
Hang on a second. Before you say it, it's not just that. It's Gonzaga 1, Baylor 2, 3 is what, Illinois?
I don't know.
Illinois is up there, but there's a whole slew. If you look at the top 10, there's a whole slew of teams that aren't usually there. With Duke at 10, Carolina at 16, there's a slew of teams that aren't normally there. Right. So that was
so the blue blood.
Go ahead. Yeah. Is this today from the program?
Yeah. Ready? Okay.
I'm still ready.
It comes down to where are the lottery picks deciding to go to college? Like right now, most people think Cade Cunningham is going to be the first pick in the 2021 NBA draft. He's playing at Oklahoma State, because his brother was hired at Oklahoma State. A lot of people, myself included, believe that Evan Mobley is going to be the second pick in the 2021 NBA draft, or at least that's where I would put him right now. He's playing at USC. Why? Because his father was hired at USC. Jalen Green is, if you're trying to identify obvious possible top 3 picks, Jalen Green would be in that group with Evan Mobley and Cade Cunningham. He's a part of the G League program. Where would he be if not for that? And so some of these super talented basketball players, they're either not in college basketball or they're not at Kentucky, Duke, the places that we've gotten used to watching them go.
All right, there you go. Sort of what I was saying last week, that if you heard the front end there, I was talking about programs buying themselves into relevancy, right? Having money backers, and it doesn't have to be straight bags to the players. You do tricky shit like hire their relative to be on the staff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's not new. Ed Manning was on the staff for Larry Brown in Kansas in '84 when they recruited Danny Manning.
Right.
But
not everyone's
dad became basketball ops. Kansas has been pretty good at it, by the way.
Not everyone had the money or was willing to spend the money to do something like that. There's a lot more programs that have money behind them that are willing to do that.
Missouri hired Michael Porter and Jonte Porter's father. Yep. By the way, 2 more Porter brothers still in high school. Yeah, I mean, listen, do you want to be a championship coach? If you want to be a championship college basketball coach, then you need talent. And part of how you get talent is if they have a relative that is hireable, then you should hire them. If that seems, unsightly to you, then you're going to have to be better another way. And that's really hard. There's plenty of high school coaching jobs open. Like the whole our guy does it right thing, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. But then don't bitch about, if you don't hate the player, hate the rules, right? Hate the game, right? Like the game is the game, and you can either play it or not play it. And they're trying to change the game with the FBI investigation and the NCAA coming in after the fact and trying to change the shoe part of it, which is, in my opinion, completely hypocritical because what they did before was when high school coaches were driving Cadillacs from college coaches or college boosters paying them to get influence over kids to go to their schools. The Chicago high schools were notorious for that. They didn't like it, so they farmed it out to the AAU, where it at least took it out of the schools and put it over here. And now they're pissed about that. So they wanted, when Condoleezza Rice and that group said, well, we need to get it back to the high school coaches, was an ignorant decision based upon not knowing the history of recruiting in this country. And put it back on the high school coaches, great. So it'll be high school coaches getting $100,000 jobs, $200,000 jobs to get the talent to high school and then funnel it on to the colleges. And the shoe companies will just funnel the money into the high schools. I mean, it is what it is. There's money to be had there. If you don't like it, the G League is the right way to go. Get the kids paid right away. Get them in minor leagues. Reality, if the government's going to get involved, mandate minor leagues for every sport so that kids that have no business being in college, have no interest in being in college, whose best chance at making a big time or even just a solid income is to go play the sport, then force these leagues, which are without a doubt a monopoly. If you're going to go after who did I say they went after Facebook? If you're going after Facebook, we could go after the NFL and the NBA and force them to have real structured minor leagues that you can give the kids an opportunity coming out of high school to go play ball and have a path to the league without having to have colleges, become the biggest hypocrites around about how they're keeping kids eligible.
Let's go through the Super Contest board, and we'll do pretty rapid fire.
All right.
Because you're breaking up a little bit again, but
really?
Yeah. I don't know. Am I the only one who's seeing it, or are you guys seeing it? A little breakup, a little lag, a little max headroom from Petro.
So I went from I was on the hard wire, so then I'm like, okay, let me go to the Wi-Fi. I wonder if it's my stupid provider.
Yeah.
You want me to try the switch?
If you want.
Okay. Let's try it. Here we go.
That's it. He's gone forever. Let's see when he comes back. Well, he's in lock mode. Oh, the audio sounds good. All right. A little bit of breakup. It's like everyone has a different experience. There he is, just locked. It's a good photo, though. KC Chief. Oh, this is good. We have two Petros. I love this. I love when this happens. All right, you're back.
I'm back.
Maybe you're cleaner. We're gonna keep alternate Petro up there.
I wouldn't. I'm not on that feed, but if you have no choice, there you go.
I blew it. I shouldn't have touched it. God dang it. Why did I do that? All right. We're not fucking around here. All right. Let's get some winners.
By the way, does anybody love their internet provider?
Mine's not bad, but I would love the price shop. I mean, we have the same monopoly that almost every other city has.
I will tell you that the people that I talk to on the phone, who I talk to on a regular goddamn basis, are the nicest people in the world. They are. I will give them that. And they all freely admit that what I deal with at times is a complete shit show. So that actually just an ounce of compassion for, like, there was a stretch I had over the summer where literally they were out here like 4 times in 2 weeks. And I'm like, and they're like, I'm sorry, you're right. We're going to credit you what you lost, which is like, $2.
Right.
You were down for 4 hours. Okay, here's your $2 credit.
I love that, though. That's such a big deal.
It is, and it's why I'm still with them. So
yeah, because they'll come after you.
But
they'll come after you for late fees, and then now they've got this phony. You're over your limit. Like, over what limit? You're just arbitrarily sending me bullshit that I'm over some internet limit. Cut it out.
I don't have that, but what I will tell you is, I do appreciate when they go. I say the guy, go, listen, just level with me. You bought a company, and that company was dog shit, and you're running around sticking fingers in dikes trying to solve the issue. Like, level with me. And he's like, that's a pretty accurate picture. I said, okay, so what's the future? And the guy's like, the future is, new cable, fiber everywhere for everyone. And it's why, like, there's 1 million, I love that, Steve. There's 1 million, like, problems with this country, and there's a lot of shit we're talking about. But at some point, if somebody doesn't run on fixing the fucking infrastructure in this country,
yep.
So that you don't have to sit on the highway for 1 hour and 10 minutes to go 11 miles on your commute to and from work, so that everybody has rocket fast internet everywhere in this country. If somebody doesn't run on that platform, Like that's, I live in I have a charmed life. So first world problems, but at some point, if you don't fix your first world problems as a nation, you will become a third world nation. So that's my soapbox. I'm off of it. I'm not bombing my company because they're very nice people.
Yeah.
They've tried. I hope they will keep trying, and I hope they'll get it done.
It's your boy Dan Jacobs from Denver. We gotta have him. We gotta have him on here one night.
Jay's good dude.
Yeah.
Good dude. He called me Darth Vader.
For what reason?
Because when he had me on earlier this year, I think week 7 when the Broncos and Chiefs were playing, and he wanted me to hype up Drew Lock as being they're about ready to go. And, he's the guy. And I was like, a couple of years, maybe he could cruise in and have an upside of Matt Ryan. He's like, no, we want to hear we got the next Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, well, he ain't that. That ain't ever happening.
Nice.
And it's going to take a couple of years. And so he's like, it was the real information. He had a story. He's like from one of the early Star Wars where Padme is all disappointed in Anakin. He's like, that's what you were. Like, you just totally let us down. But then it ended up being that, yeah, it's a disaster. I wouldn't say Drew Lock's a disaster yet, but
not ready to commit on that one yet. Okay.
I'm not ready to say he can't get it done. No, I mean, Josh Allen. His ceiling's not as high as Josh Allen. He didn't get drafted as high as Josh Allen. They're pretty good at picking the quarterbacks. I like Matt Ryan might be off the table now. Like that was the upside I had back then for him. Matt Ryan might be off the table. I think Ryan Tannehill might be better.
Okay.
Upside. Not that that's what he's going to be. That's the upside.
I think I'd be insulting people if I said Rich Gannon. And I'd be insulting
the league MVP.
I'd be insulting Rich Gannon. But Rich Gannon took a while to come along.
He doesn't have the scoots that Rich Gannon did, and Rich Gannon's ability to run was a big part of his game.
Okay.
I mean, at least like early he ran, later he still had the nimbleness to move around the pocket. Drew Lock's more of a stationary target. Tannehill's a better runner than him. I'm just thinking of the career path of where they were never like all in on him with the Dolphins, and he ultimately moved on, and then now has clicked in his 30s and has been a pretty good quarterback. That to me is, yes, he's looking more like a guy that's going to have multiple stops and is not going to be not going in anybody's ring of honor.
Brian Hoyer?
Well, that's a distinct possibility. Yeah. Yes, he could be Brian Hoyer, but I are we talking ceiling or what my prediction is? My prediction is he'll end up being a backup holding a clipboard for most of his career because that's what most of them end up being. Yeah. That's not a bold statement.
He's not Kirk Cousins. Stop.
That's not awful. No. Why? You're saying Cousins is that far ahead of him?
Yes. This is what he's good at, lip syncing and dancing on the sidelines. And every once in a while making a play down 3 touchdowns. Wow, now that got ugly. Locke is Brody Croyle. Come on, CJ Cards fan, cut it out. Come on. Pennington was actually a pretty good quarterback for like 3 years. And the Jets were decent. Locke's not even Pennington.
It took Locke till his 3rd year to become, he was an Elite 11 quarterback, and people in Kansas City off his high school career said, he is 3 in the door. This guy's a stud. And then his first 2 years, he was with Missouri. And then the 3rd year, he blew up. And so I would give him at least 3 years as your starter before you wadded him up and threw him away. I'm not saying you can't be looking for competition for him, but I'd give him the 3rd year. But if you ask me for a prediction, no. He's not going to end up being a franchise quarterback.
Broncos +3 against the Panthers. By the way, McCaffrey dinged up again.
Hate the game, but lean to the Panthers. The Broncos kind of blew their wad. I see a letdown.
Yeah. Are we sure Matt Rule's a better coach than Vic Fangio? Sorry, I couldn't even get it out.
Yes, we are 100% sure. Vic Fangio should prepare his Anthony Lynn Pearl Harbor speech because he'll need it, sometime next year.
And he'll like Dom Capers minus the stupid comb over and dyed hair. He'll be a he'll be a guy that people want as a DC for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? He's got another 10 years in the league and he'll make money. So some guys just are not head coaches, and they're outstanding coordinators and deserve jobs. And I hope the best for guys like Greg Williams and Adam Gase. I think they're not in the same category now. They might be out a year or two from being a coordinator or ever. 2
touchdowns were called back again. Well, one was just missed because the Chiefs didn't challenge what was a touchdown. Although, it was a fluky play. And then a kind of light holding penalty. It was holding, but it doesn't always get called. Call back another one, or it was 36-16. You can either say he is a guy who coordinated a defense that held Kansas City to 22 points, or you can say, well, it was almost a blowout. Do whatever you want. Fangio is a good defensive coordinator. He shouldn't be allowed anywhere near any kind of clock and game management, which should exclude him from being a head coach.
Yeah, this is a good one. I'm not even sure if we've discussed it here. We probably have, and it's a good discussion after the season. Fangio's a good coach, wrong guy for developing a quarterback. I don't. If I have a quarterback who needs developing or needs an infusion of confidence, I don't really see many DCs out there who are very attractive.
No, I agree. And like
as a head coach,
and this is for old guys like Bud Carson stepping in for Marty Schottenheimer with the Cleveland Browns and going to the AFC Championship game, like the second time the Broncos beat the Browns with the fumble, the Ernest Biner fumble. Bud Carson was a coach. Like, you had the quarterback, you had everything up and running, all the personnel was there, and he stood watch on it. Like that, Vic Fangio could take over that role. That was really George Seifert with the Niners, right? It was Larry Coker with the University of Miami. It was Barry Switzer taking over the Cowboys. I mean, Switzer could coach college football where you could just out-talent people, but where you really had to scheme it, it was him. That's like Vic Fangio could be successful taking over something that's up and running and ready to go because he's been around the league and he's got all the cliches and he's got a program ready to go and he can inherit that. But like building a team up, no, it was a ridiculous hire and it had no hope of succeeding. And yes, we're getting to a point where I don't know that you can hire a defensive coach. Like, one of the things the Chiefs did, obviously they hired Andy Reid, and Andy Reid immediately got Alex Smith and upgraded the quarterback position, and they kept their head on a swivel. And when they got their shot on a guy they believed in, they fired the shot. You know what they did? 2018, when they turned it over to him, they already had Tyreek Hill. They already had Travis Kelce. They already had 2 tackles. They already had Kareem Hunt, Rookie of the Year, at running back, and they spent 3 years, $48 million on Sammy Watkins. They said, we're giving this kid freaking every chance to succeed.
Yep.
The first thing we're going to do is find out, is he the right guy? And we're going to do everything we can to build him up. And when he checked that box with 5,050, and they said, okay, now let's put some time on the defense. You should do nothing but build your offense and figure out your quarterback. And until that's done, screwing around with defensive picks is a waste of time.
Let's go to the top of the board. You want to lay 5.5 with the Rams against the Patriots? Most of the money I was told today at the Westgate was coming in on the Patriots.
So I love, like, if we said, okay, neither one of them played a game before now, or they each took 3 weeks off, I would love the Patriots plus the 5.5. I'm a 5.5 whore. I love that for tease down humps that are trying to play the favorite and be like, all he's got to do is win, right? All the Rams have to do is win. So I'm always susceptible for jumping on it. And it hasn't been as true of late, but back in the day, there was a score 40 1 week, you don't win the next. Right now, it's a different era. Like, you completely come flat. Now, the Patriots had 14 of those points off special teams, right? So this is kind of a unique one. And the modern era is that points are scored easier, although the Patriots play old school football on offense. So I am very leery of them being able to get out to more than, like, say, 20 points. But I still think that Bill Belichick did a good job against the Rams, obviously, in the Super Bowl. I don't think that means that he doesn't have the same personnel in this one. But I'm on the Patriots, or I pass.
I was trying to look up your 40-plus point deal.
I said it was a huge, like, if you score 40 1 week, you scored dick the next. But it's not the same because it's become a much more offensive league.
Right.
You just look at the Chiefs in 18. They probably backed up 40 with 36. But does Cam Newton, throwing for less than 100 yards, say that they're going to run right out to 40 again? So, I mean, like, my point is that this game was really more like 23-26 nothing and not 45 nothing as the final score ended up with the Pats. So slow down on how good the Pats are.
Would you lay 7.5 expecting the Packers to just destroy the Lions?
I would. Lions had their one big shot. Now they're done.
I agree. Not in love with laying 7.5. All right, your Jaguars. You're on the Jags every week. You love them. Luton, Glennon, Minshew Mania. It doesn't matter. Doug Moron at coach. Fired the GM. They're plucky, man. They're plucky. They keep playing.
Like, they are plucky, and Doug Marrone is not a moron, although he is old school and outdated in his approach to things.
That's not my nickname. That's former Bills fan Adam Hill.
I know.
Calling former Bills coach Doug Marrone Doug Moron.
Yeah, and that's where Adam's out to lunch, because with Tyrod Taylor, you play old school football because Tyrod Taylor's not going to win the game for you. And you're not going to throw it 50 times with Tyrod Taylor and win.
If people in Kansas City don't know Adam Hill, we have company, so we mix in different hosts. He's the biggest cunt of all three guys. Sorry, I just wanted to drop a C-bomb. We've been using Clunt. He's not a C-bomb. He's just coming out of COVID, so we're rooting for him. He did okay, we think. So he actually did 2 of the streams, 2 of the video pods this week, lying in bed and holding the phone up like this, and he was I'll use the word again. He was pretty plucky. I think the feedback from the audience was good, and more than a few of them were like, "We're rooting for you, buddy."
Okay,
which was kind of a surprise.
I
broke your stream there. All right, back to the Jaguars and their pluckiness and Doug Marrone.
No. Listen, Adam's my boy, so I'm glad to get an update on how he's doing. Yeah, they're plucky. What's the game in the spread? Who they got? I don't even remember.
Plus 7.5. They're taking on the Titans, who are unpredictable.
That they are, Steve. They are unpredictable. No. I'm not on the Jags. I'm not going to be on the Jags. Matt Glenn and I tried to push that turd uphill for a couple of years in my Dynasty Fantasy Football League. No.
I'm sorry. I've had the screen up for like 15 minutes on my other screen. Sorry about that.
On your end, yeah.
What a total asshole. I'm like, what is he not paying attention? Let's look at the screen.
What's up? Finally over here. I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to bring the games up over here so I can see what the hell I'm talking about.
I guess we're gonna play the game. We're gonna play a game this week. Really? By the way, do you believe in look-ahead spots?
I do. I believe in look-aheads, letdowns, and valleys, trap games. Sure.
Because this isn't one. Jaguars and then the Lions after that, at Packers, at Texans. So
play the Titans or don't play it. There's no reason to be taking the Jags. Right? If you got crafty and picked the Jags against a Vikings team that was 1 under 500, even if they'd been, playing good ball, hey, great, nice pick. But against the Titans, no. It's Jags or it's Titans or bust.
This is a hell of a game. Cowboys 3.5 at the Bengals. Yesterday, I was lucky enough to get the best number possible on the Cowboys, plus 9.5. If you play the best numbers, you're going to win. Well, I didn't win, so I'm done. Fuck the Cowboys. I'm out.
If you play, I love this speech. By the way, is that a White Russian you're rocking?
No, it's an eggnog. It's a spiked eggnog. You can get some old country nonsense.
There's not enough Kahlua in that thing if that's a White Russian, which is a sacred beverage.
Sure.
Amongst our crew when we all get together.
Old guys, 6 of them who never drink, and you're making them pound White Russians.
Well, because that's how we get them to drink. Mm-hmm. Because they're like, oh, it's a chocolate milk. It's like kind of a sweet chocolate milk. Yeah, I'll have that. And it was in the Big Lebowski. So yeah, sure. Okay. And so we get, scrawny old guys that don't drink to pound down like 7 White Russians and then complain the next day when we go to draft a fantasy team as to how bad their head hurts.
It is good strategy because they are off just a bit.
The professionals are like, whatever, let's go.
Yeah. By the way, I have to interject here for a second. I call it the Kansas City League because you guys in Kansas City come out here for fantasy football. Did you see the nonsense at the bottom of our league to get into the playoffs?
Well, I know you got in, but I didn't, right?
Right. We had a 3-way tie
At 6 and 7.
At 6 and 7. My team last week didn't start a quarterback, or at least started one who didn't play. So I had 0 points at quarterback, and I had to win. I won.
Did you start Fitztragic?
I started Fitzpatrick.
That happened in one of my other leagues. I started him too.
I actually had Wentz as a backup, and then Wentz scored, like, in our league, we have a weird scoring system. So Wentz scored like 4 points, 5 points.
Right.
In regular league. So, but somehow I won. So I got lucky.
That's awesome.
God, I hope I won the title. Man, that would be nice.
You've never won it.
I've been in the finals a couple times. Yeah. Bad
How many
luck.
times have I won it?
You won it a lot. You won like 6 times. But you as you get older, you're getting more. You are actually getting more and more drunk during these things. This last year, you were not drunk though. You've been come on, dude. You've been annihilated. You've been suffering from smoke inhalation because I take you out to Vegas bars for the draft. Then you guys all start complaining. It's rough. It's rough.
I didn't win. I'm not going to win this year. I didn't win last year. Who won the 2 years before that?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, it was me. So acting like somehow I've become this travesty.
Falling off.
Yeah, I've won 6. Nobody else has won more than 2. It's okay. I'll stand on my record.
I'm very Lions-like. Nah, not even Lions-like. I'm trying to think of a team that goes 9 and 7, 8 and 8, 7 and 9 like every year. That's me.
You were the Gary Kubiak Texans.
Okay. There's so much more there. If there was someone who actually paid attention to who they should start on Saturday night or Sunday morning, the organization would be in good shape. But God Almighty, who knows what happened?
The fact that you keep starting Henny over Mahomes is a problem.
I know, right? Let's see. Recent champions. Adam won last year. Adam Hill. Your boy Foster, who's going to owe me a lot of money for this crappy season that Edwards Hilaire is having. He's won. Yeah, you do win a lot. Good for you.
Yeah, and I had the 2 before that, right? I thought it was. I didn't realize this was my 3rd year without winning. That's bullshit. I'll have to fix that. I'll have to sober up next year.
Yeah,
I'll have to actually apply myself and try.
We killed all the time that was allotted for Cowboys and Bengals. Clearly, we don't like either side. I would assume you're not on the Bengals, right?
I'm not on either side. I can't play that game.
Who still has love for the Cardinals? 1.5 against the hot as a pistol Giants, resurgent Giants.
I mean, don't you have to be on the Cardinals here?
Extend Gettleman's contract, Giants.
Don't you have to be on the Cardinals here?
It feels like it, yes. It feels like the numbers or the Giants are, finally getting some respect.
To which is now when you get off
exactly.
I'm Cardinals or no.
Texans.
This is the game. Look at these games. These games are gems.
Yep, I know. It's awesome. Texans and Bears. Oh, mama. Look at we are deer in headlights right now. Wow.
How are the Bears only getting 1? Give me the Bears.
We have not been on the Bears in a while.
Astutely. I think this is where you get on the Bears.
I hate the Texans. I really not as a team or an organization, but
I think more money's probably been lost on the Texans because people jump on the Texans because of Deshaun Watson. And let me just tell you, I've said this about Justin Herbert, and now the stats aren't there, but the losses still are. Like, there's a reason why wins and losses only go next to quarterbacks. Like, they have a lot to do with it. And Watson's wins and losses, he has tons of horrible negative plays that absolutely destroy the offense. So, I mean, like, Watson's a fine quarterback. Yes, I would take him over a lot of people, but he's not, like, up there in the top 3 or like when the Chiefs and Texans took the field last year in the divisional round of the playoffs, the intro to the game by the national broadcast was like this was the game that was going to settle which one of these 2 quarterbacks were better. I mean, that was fucking laughable.
Someone was asking what our record was last week. It was 3-2.
3-2, yeah.
3-2. What were the 2 games that we lost? Because I erase every week's picks instantly.
I don't know, but one of them we got screwed. One of them we just blew. We were awful on one of them. The 3 wins, though, were pretty good. We had the Pats. We had
Browns.
Dolphins, and who?
Browns.
And Browns.
Yep.
And then we had one just terrible loss that we were never in the game, and then one that we actually could have taken down. I can't remember what it was. I'm with you. I'm like when they go to shit, I forget them.
Browns, Patriots. How many field goals did the Chiefs kick?
And 2 touchdowns. Yeah, we had the Chiefs. That's right.
Yep.
We had that's one we should have had because 2 touchdowns off the board. That should have been 36-16. Could have very easily been the final on that.
We had football team.
Oh, that's right. We had Washington. That's right.
Who thought the football team would beat the Steelers? Well, we didn't have to get a win. It's plus 7.5. And then the other one that was a disaster, the Niners.
Yeah, that's the one.
They got their teeth kicked in.
They did. They showed some fight, but yeah, that was the one that we were never really in it. We were getting 2.5, right?
Yep. And the line shifted. The line shifted to everyone was on the Niners.
Yeah, everybody was on the Niners.
No, it went past it. It was like 1.5, 2 Niners by Sunday morning.
Oh well, we had a great line, Steve.
I know.
Why didn't we win?
Well,
The Niners and the Cowboys. Yeah, tell me about those great lines.
I didn't say, if you consistently bet the good numbers that you win 95% of the time. I mean, your hope is that you're at least going to hit 60 or 58% of the time.
Listen, my theory on football is like, I know like, can you get it? If you can sit at your computer, clickety click, 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 and you can get a better line, get the better line, right?
Yep.
But back in the old days, when we used to have to drive hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel to line chase, if you need another half point to make this bet, don't bet it.
Yeah.
Good bets are ones you're not sweating in the fourth quarter. That's harder to say. Now, I'd change that to good bets are ones you don't sweat in the last 5 minutes of an NFL game because the games have become so much more competitive than back in the day. But, there's so many games that could go either way, and you win some and you lose some. Those weren't your good bets. Your good bets are the ones that you're not sweating. The Browns were a good bet. The Dolphins were a good bet. We didn't have the Dolphins, you said?
No, they did not make the cut.
I'm thinking of 2 weeks ago, it's Dolphins game where they won like 19-7 or something over the Jets or 26-7. What was it? We had the Browns. The Browns were a good bet. We had Washington was a good bet.
Right. You ready? We had Patriots, football team, Niners.
Patriots was a fantastic bet.
Right. Chiefs and Browns.
We had 3 good bets.
Yep.
And we had 2 that I think if you play the game again, we could have won. So they weren't morons, but they were losers. That's it. That's gambling.
I love something in all 8 games on the bottom of the board. Let's do this.
Okay.
Actually, I lied. Maybe 5. Buccaneers 6.5 against the Vikings. Where are you on the Buccaneers? The defense is not that good, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like Brady's ready to start fading here. It's like a James Harden deal. Well, it's not really James Harden, but James Harden fades because he's used too much. But I feel like Brady's arm starts to get all saggy and shitty, and Arians is like, "Don't care. We're going to throw it 20 yards plus, 30 yards plus, whether you can do it or not."
I would only take the Vikings as a dog, and I am interested to see. But coming off a bye week and now needing to get going, the needing to get going, I hate that those words even came out of my mouth.
They're
due. Bullshit about they need it. They need it.
Yep.
Oh, so now they're going to try.
Yeah.
But I'll disagree. I think their corners have issues, but up front, the Vikings are going to try to run the ball. So I don't like the game. I don't have a side.
All right.
What about you?
I would lean Vikings. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take the points.
Okay.
Chiefs, Dolphins. I'm leaning Chiefs. I mean, some of these performances are annoying me. They are now 6-6, by the way, against the spread.
I know.
All my fault that we weren't on all 6 wins, and that I've actually prodded us to play all 6 games they haven't covered. So I feel bad about that.
I do believe there is an Unleash the Fury game coming for the Chiefs.
Right.
And it seems to be the games that they're really impressive, not that they win by 40, but the Ravens, teams that are supposed to challenge them, seem to bring out the best in them. There's an element of them playing to the level of their opposition. And I think at 8-4 and knowing that they cannot afford an AFC loss because they're still behind the Steelers, I'll take the Chiefs. And I'll say this to Bake, look, I respect that opinion. I may be, backpedaling from this afterwards, but the Chiefs have lost 9 games with Patrick Mahomes. 8 of them, the opposition scored 31 points. That doesn't incorporate the cover. I recognize the Dolphins don't have to win to cover, but if you're gonna get to the Chiefs, and not be seen there like, well, we got away with 2 touchdowns like the Broncos did. Like if you won, cash your Broncos tickets, but there were 14 easy points that were there for the Chiefs, and they're not going to keep shitting those things away. Their red zone inefficiency the last 2 games is not reality, and the Dolphins are a great story, but no, I'm sorry, Chiefs in double digits.
Real quick, I got to get your reaction on this Chiefs point. One of our football guys is a dude named Caleb Herring. He played quarterback at UNLV. He's the color voice of UNLV. I like him. He's a good football mind. Really breaks down the game. He's also super competitive, and he went in on Tyreek Hill today for what was the scenario where Tyreek Hill scores? He's about to score a touchdown, then he does a fucking flip, and then what happened? The touchdown got taken away. So
second week in a row, he's broken away. The guy falls down. He stands at the goal line, waits. This time really waited, and then it did a backflip into the end zone for the touchdown, which of course was one of the ones it was called back on the holding penalty.
Okay.
The difference with what Tyreek Hill did was he stood at the 1 yard line and kind of hesitated and waited for any near defenders to come, and which didn't, and then did his backflip. To me, that takes it from celebrating and giving the fans a show and celebrating with the teammates to now disrespecting your opponent. If Tyreek Hill didn't have Pat Mahomes as his quarterback and things like that, would his career, would he be as dangerous a player? And so taking advantage of your situation to dominate a game or dominate the field, I don't see the point in showing a guy up like that.
Okay. So he was a little stronger on Twitter. That was like 3 days ago. In the moment, he saw it. So it was kind of like, if you're the opposition, you take his ass out when you can later in the game. What do you think as a guy who covers the Chiefs is, I don't know. I mean, they can back it up, but is he treading on dangerous ground? And also, how about the angle of like, no, good. I'm not even going to mention the off the field stuff and being respectful, and he can do whatever. That has nothing to do with this.
Well, I do want to mention that his off the field stuff has been, his kids live with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to understand, not to go too deep into it. I think all the headlines were, we know what's happened. His kids live with him. Okay, that makes a statement about where they are with that. And I think, and I've watched him mature a lot as a player. I think the criticism is fair. Is he showing up the opposition? Of course he is. Yes. Is that going to invite, retribution? It damn well might. And so, I think he should reconsider it. Andy Reid was asked about it this week. They actually threw a flag on the celebration. Then they picked the flag up and said there's no flag for it. He can stand there. It's like if he points, though. He's been called for it when he gives like the peace sign to the guys as he's going by it. He's been called for taunting on that. They picked it up. In fact, Sam Ellinger, columnist for the Star, even followed up with Andy Reid today and said, just to be clear, they picked up the penalty. Said it's not a penalty. Right? It wasn't because there's no touchdown, so there's because of the holding that we're picking this up. He said no, there was no penalty for taunting. So technically, that is a legal play. Is it a wise play? No. I have no argument with that opinion. None. And I think it's something that should be thought about. And Andy Reid said, we'll talk about that. It's the second time he's done it, though. Andy Reid's had a chance to discuss this with him previous to now. But Andy Reid's also the coach that says, let your personality out. I mean, he believes in that the guy's having fun. And so if Patrick Mahomes takes a blindside hit and somebody says, hey, tell Ken about his backflip, then maybe there'll be a different view.
Yeah. Why is it showing someone up? Isn't this the NFL? You don't like it, then stop him. Caleb mentioned that. Caleb mentioned that in his answer. You know what? You're right in some ways, Bake. Yes. And the way they may stop him is to break him in half. And then you can't be mad as a Chiefs fan. You're like, they're targeting Tyreek Hill. Why are they going after him like that? Hey, you guys were cool than flipping, so sorry.
I'm Bake's right, but then you got to accept the shit that comes back your way. I mean, shit goes around, shit comes around.
Oh, yeah. So we're both on the Chiefs, 7?
Yeah.
Okay. I am on the Seahawks, 13.5.
You skip the Raiders?
It's on the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I want to get to the Jets first, though.
Okay.
I think the Jets are going to have trouble getting off the deck. They actually have played hard. Everyone wants to annihilate Gase. I can you see them being fired up after that game going cross country?
No. Seahawks all day.
They're gonna get fucking crushed.
But don't you think everybody and their brothers on the Seahawks on this? Who's playing the Jets?
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the scary part for me. And I'm still alive in a suicide pool where we're now having to pick two teams. And I have the Seahawks, and so of course I'm gonna play them. But I'm like, this is like the ultimate shit burger. Like Jets go to Seahawks, and I get bounced in week. What are we at? 13, 14, 14.
Yeah, 14.
Week 14, I'm going to get bounced by a winless team coming in and beating a playoff team. Like that is my nightmare. Like I'm playing the Seahawks in that. That I can't remember who else I have. Who are the Jags playing?
Jags were
Titans. I have the Titans. I have both the Titans and Seahawks left. I'm rolling both of those two.
All right. Raiders, slight lean. Raiders +3. I have to see who the Raiders have for the game. Is Jacobs going to be there? Abrams not real good in coverage, but he's an energy guy. Trent Brown is back, so that's a big help. So you're on the Raiders +3?
Yeah, I'm on the Raiders.
All right.
Tell me about this turd. I mean, this is irresistible Falcons Chargers. Irresistible force versus immovable object.
There's no choice.
That will do everything they can to not win.
There's no choice but to play the Falcons. It's absurd that the Falcons are laying points on the road. You can't play the Chargers.
You cannot play the Falcons.
Really?
You cannot play this game. I will not be party to this. This should be taken off the board out of respect to gamblers who have shit away billions on these two teams. This game should not be allowed to be bet on.
Okay. Next game, I so want the Eagles to play well and win. I so want Taysom Hill to suck and Jalen Hurts to be good, but it's not going to happen. The Saints are going to win this. And I actually, again, we're playing a lot of big favorites, and I usually don't. I think the Saints are going to roll the Eagles. I don't think the Hurts thing is going to work the first week.
I got your back, but I'm cautious about this because my scenario is for the Saints to keep winning and the Chiefs to destroy them next week. Saints have the Chiefs next week, and this Wildcat shit is not going to work because you're not going to get out to 30-plus points. And the Chiefs they don't have a true number one. They've got 4 number 2 corners and good safeties. And so I think they're going to destroy Taysom Hill when he tries to throw. He'll get his in the game. Like he'll probably rush for 70, 80 yards, and you'll get 70, 80 rushing out of Alvin Kamara. But I think the Chiefs are going to destroy the Saints. So I've got that narrative in my head already. So I am, cautious that I'm on the Saints because I think they're going to build, and then the Chiefs are going to destroy them, although there's talk that Drew Brees can be back for that game. But, I mean, I think the Eagles are cooked, don't you?
I think, but I don't know I don't know what's going on in the locker room. So, you remember, was it last year or the year before? There was a story that came out and it was in like Philly magazine or the Philly Voice, and there was a sports guy there, and there were some folks talking shit about Wentz, and then everyone rounded up and they're like, "Oh, nothing to it." There's always something to it, unless it's a complete jabroni who's writing the story. It came from somewhere. So.
Let's go to another level and some shit that's not being talked about that I talked about here in Kansas City that nobody I got backlash. When he went to Philly, there are some conversations about some things, some problems with Doug Peterson away from the field.
Right.
And those have been, I think, played out on a common ground. And I think it's possible that if you're not disciplined in your own life, are you really disciplined, in what you're doing football-wise? I've enjoyed every conversation I've ever had with Doug Peterson. I think he's a swell guy. But being a swell guy and being a guy who can coach a football team year after year after year, that's two different things. And so I think right now it looks like he's lost the team. I don't know why people, why we aren't quarterback. Well, will help your quarterback. I also think the personnel moves have been a problem, but I'd not like him to need some Eagles.
All right.
I can't get on the Eagles the rest of the year.
You're out.
I'm out, and if that means I only have to have 2 bets, like we'll come up with our 5 for the contest. But if I were in Vegas and I'm like, I have actually eliminated 14 of the 16 games, then I'll play 2 games and just load up.
Last 3. Man, I like rooting for the football team. I love the Alex Smith story. I assume in Kansas City, everyone's very fired up to see Alex Smith come back from, a snapped leg, 17 surgeries. How the guy on his opposite leg, he was like, bleeding for real, unlike Kurt Schilling. That was kind of dramatic.
We said, no, has any player ever left the team and become more popular the way Alex Smith has? It's like amazing to watch.
Yeah. I'd like to bet Washington. The number seems a little bit short to me.
I would agree.
But I am intrigued to see this.
It is in Arizona.
Yeah, Lil Shanny. Everything revolves around that run game. Maybe they'll get a little bit healthier this week. Mostert hasn't looked good. The problem is that Washington defensive front, especially the defensive line, going to succumb to the run game and kind of a beat-up offensive line now for the Niners. Can Shanahan do that against football team?
I also think the fact that Gibson might not play. I want to see where he's at.
Can Smith throw the ball? Can he target McKissick 21 times in the game, and McKissick finishes with 17 catches for 106 yards?
And that is, I do think like the Alex Smith book is out there, right? Yeah. And the Niners are a well-coached team, so they should be able to read it.
He really, I don't want to bag in a guy who's done what he's done. He really can't throw down the field. Everything seems to come out, wobbly and. Good for him that he's playing, but he has limitations.
Jed sent me a text when he got the ball back at the end, tied. He said, we're going to see what Alex Smith's made of. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you what he's made of. Dink, dunk, dink, punt. And, and then I go on the air the next day and I'm singing the praises of Alex Smith, like, what a great story. Because I do. I root for the guy. Everyone should root for the guy. But like, if we're going to evaluate him as a quarterback, it is a dink fest. Okay? And you got to be high school wide open to go down the field, which you can get a guy high school wide open. Andy Reid could, and he would go down the field when he was high school wide open. But ultimately they dinked and dunked their way in a field goal range, and then they immediately went nowhere because they got he gets super conservative because he doesn't want to lose the 3, and that will get him. And I listen, Washington won their Super Bowl. It's Niners -3. That's my play.
I respect the Bills, so this is not an anti-Bills pick, but Steelers +2.5 seems like a good play to me.
I have a theory on baseball and basketball, a prolonged win streak, like one that is discussed on SportsCenter. In baseball and basketball, when it ends in a double thud. You lose, and then you sit there and you go, well, that's all right, we'll start a new streak tomorrow. But you forget all the things, the hungriness you played with, the passion you played with to not lose the winning streak, and you think it's just going to come back the next day, and it doesn't. Football's harder because there's a whole week in between, but I kind of feel the double thud for the Steelers. I like the Bills. I also think the better quarterback plays for the Bills.
Wait a second. What the fuck? Really?
You like Roethlisberger over Allen?
I think he's more reliable. But what I don't like is the Steelers receivers dropping so many passes because it's getting ridiculous. I think I think they're leading the league at like 36 drop passes in the last couple of games. It has been outrageous the last 2 games.
Let me ask you a question. What kind of pitcher does the catcher drop the ball the most?
I don't know what, the freaking knuckleball. You think he's throwing?
And that's what he throws.
Yeah.
Like there's no fastball anymore. And so like you think of the Chase Claypool highlights, like do you remember the Chase Claypool 70-yard, 50 yards in the air touchdown? No. It's all short shit. Right. And I think they're starting to write the book on Roethlisberger. They're like, wait a minute, he did just have Tommy John. He is 37, 38 years old. The fastball is not there. And while the Bills aren't great defensively, like I think there'll be points scored in this. They do at least have a true number one corner. The Steelers have enough wideouts to spread it around, but Bud Dupree being down, Bills are at home. I'm starting to think that the Bills are that 13-3 team that's the team of destiny through the regular season and then shits the bed in their first playoff game.
All right. Says Bills are for real. Nobody seems to cover Beasley. He's got your back. So this sounds like
they've got weapons and a quarterback that can spin it. I mean, he's got velocity, Mahomes style.
A little inaccurate still. There were a couple at least one of the touchdowns he underthrew by like 3 yards. The guy was so wide open he just had to stop and dip down to catch it.
And he doesn't have the same kind of freakish spatial awareness that Mahomes does. He doesn't throw on the run like Mahomes does. Mahomes is better, but Josh Allen's really good, and that's a fact.
Last game, I was fired up to play the Browns, but I think they over-adjusted here. But I'm not – I'll tell you right now, I'm not even though they rushed for just under 250 yesterday, I'm not super fired up to be on the Ravens side until – I don't know, either weapons emerge or Lamar Jackson looks more comfortable throwing the ball. Mark Andrews is down, so that's one of his safety guys.
He'll be back, though.
Yeah, it was COVID.
Not 2 weeks of COVID.
Yeah. What do you think? Well, both teams. I mean, the Browns looked awesome last week. Both teams, where are they right now?
Browns looked awesome until they let the Titans back into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns are 9-3 and have a negative point differential.
Yep.
I mean, that's real. Like, I think you're getting great line value with the Ravens. And maybe this is the yang to last year's yin where everything went their way and now everything's going to go against the Ravens. But I do still think they're a difficult team to defend. Teams, if they have a playbook, they're better at it. They're not going to be as explosive offensively as they were last year, but they can grind the run right back at the Browns. And I'm not ready to say that Baker Mayfield is as good as he looked last week. So I like the Ravens in this one.
Slight lean to the Ravens, but I don't think it's going to be a game that I love.
Okay.
All right. Can I close on this?
Sure.
Since we are a bit Zoftic, right? We like to eat. It's not my show. Big sandwich fan, right? Shouldn't be.
I love sandwiches.
Are you cutting down on your bread, or are you back to like full bore?
No. I'm no carb.
What?
I'm low carb. Yeah, I'm low carb. At 25 pounds down.
When did this happen?
Can't tell when your face is as fat and round naturally as mine is. Like it takes like a good 50 before anyone even goes, "You lost a couple pounds?" Yeah, up your ass. I've lost 50, you jackass. Right? Like so, but yeah, 25 in the pandemic, right? And like it's been an absolute fucking war, which is ridiculous.
I had no idea this was happening. You're kind of a dick. I could have been inspired, but probably not. Let's be honest. Probably not.
Yeah, 25 to go. It's not like I'm slim.
What are you doing?
You don't.
You did call me today while you were walking. I was kind of impressed, and you weren't like all gassed and gasping for air. So that was good.
I'm down under 17-minute miles on my 3 or 4 mile walks. So,
nice.
Listen to my podcast, call people, get things done. So I get my walk on, trying to incorporate a little bit of some kind of like at least resistance or weight lifting. A little something. Just making an effort. But like it's hard to celebrate too much when you're like the big celebration point is being closer to 200 pounds than 300 pounds.
It's progress.
It is. It's sad, but it's progress.
Got to start somewhere. I'm going to keep saying stupid cliches while I'm trying to load up this page.
It's like Pearl Harbor,
Oh, God.
Got to bounce back.
So a buddy of ours, at least of mine, Sirius XM on Mad Dog Radio, one of the producers, really funny guy, really creative guy. I don't know if this is like over-the-top creative, but he's been doing a lot of lists, and I like lists, and I like food. So he put together a list of his he's been counting down his top 10 sandwiches.
I love sandwiches. Let's go.
Do you have a sandwich right out of the gate? So you would just be like, yeah, that's got to be a top 5 sandwich.
Well, I know I'm going to be accused of just like propping up my sponsors, but like Good Sense here locally is a sponsor. And
what's their best sub?
They have a lot. Like so, and I hate to say this. I said it today. I said, I sprung. I think Jed and Curtis got the subs, brought them to the house. We ate out on the patio because we've had a couple of 60-degree days here. And I got the sub and scraped all. I got double meat and scraped all the meat and toppings into a bowl, chopped it up, and ate it like a salad. Right, which sucks because they bake the bread fresh twice each day. The bread is awesome, and it's so hard. I always kind of nibble on the bread a little bit. But so they have their original, which is like bologna, salami, pepperoni, and I think turkey, which I like. I love their roast chicken. Is really good because they'll put every kind of I love their banana peppers. They're very flavorful, so that adds to it. So they've got a lot of great subs. So I love my Good Sense, and they have a lot of different things that I like. That's my go-to regular. When you're talking like specialties, like I love a good cheesesteak. There was a place in town that used to have great cheesesteaks, but they've screwed them all up. Right? That it's not good. I love a good like Italian sandwich, on a hard roll. Like if I can
sub or sandwich.
Hard roll sub, like
Nice.
Jersey Deli style.
Yep.
Italian meats, Italian cheese, Italian dressing. Get some pepperoncinis, and I love that.
Yeah. Eddie G, what's the Pittsburgh? What's the Pittsburgh? Is that Primanti Brothers with the fries?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
I can do that.
Yeah.
That's gold. That's gold. The Philly. Do you like the actual Philly cheesesteak with the cheese sauce, or do you like real cheese? I like real cheese.
I like grilled cheese. I never liked the whiz.
I never like.
They can shove the whiz. Philly, shove the whiz.
Nobody beats the whiz.
Yes. And as Brady points out, I do come from a family of fine meat connoisseurs.
Right.
All the best deli meat and all the slices you can handle, and all the bankruptcy you can handle after basically going under and losing all your money in your mid-30s, like my parents did by opening a butcher shop in South Florida. So it didn't work out.
But so you're the sub. So tell me, what's the sandwich? What's the go-to? Like, do you like a grilled cheese?
I'm not a giant grilled cheese fan.
Oh, so good.
But
So
the funny thing is,
good.
it's the same concept for a sandwich, but obviously it's loaded. I could eat a Reuben every day, and I just saw the comment who bake is like it's the worst sandwich. It's the absolute worst. I could eat it every day. I can eat. I'll call it an open face. There's a place, Kelly's, right? Anyone from New Jersey, maybe they know it. Kelly's in Belmar, and it's basically it's the plate with corned beef and cheese and the sauerkraut and the dressing like piled high, and it's fucking great.
Yes.
Every time I go back, and what's funny it's not funny because this is fact, and if you actually move, like Willie, our buddy Willie Ramirez is in here. Willie's like, Willie's a monster and he lifts all the time, so he's like, carbs are good. Like for the rest of us, if we don't move, carbs are not good. Like I think back to what I used to eat, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was an animal, like at 18 to like 24 years old. This is we'll get back to the sandwiches in a second. I got Reese's Pieces the other day, right? The SO was like, well, we need some chocolate, right? She's not pregnant. Need some chocolate, right? So I get some Reese's Pieces, and I'm like, there was an ice cream place in the Northeast called Friendly's. I don't know if you guys had them. And they used to make a Reese's Pieces sundae. It's in this giant goblet. It's 5 scoops of mint chocolate chip ice cream, Reese's Pieces, chocolate sauce, peanut butter sauce with whipped cream. And I could finish that. Now I would be like, I'd eat like a third of it and just die the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I don't know how my body processed it. What a fucking slob I was. And then I'd get up the next morning, and it's, because I don't like breakfast. So like 11 a.m., let's get the day going. I tell the story all the time. Like for like 3 years when I was working at a local newspaper, I'd be driving all over the place, all these different high schools, going to games, and like my wake up was a 44-ounce Mountain Dew and like one of those Hostess pudding pies. No problem. Not sluggish. Fucking fuel of champions. Like I can't do that now.
No.
What has happened? This is bullshit.
Yeah, you can't like. I like if food was good, I would crush it. There was no end. Like whatever was there, I was going to crush it. Now you're like, I feel like shit if I eat too much.
Yep. So this guy's sandwich list got real creative. He went with the or the gyro, whatever, at 10. He went Philly cheesesteak at 9, Italian sub at 8. Pulled pork is that's a good sandwich.
So I'm going to give you again another sponsor, but like I don't rep anybody unless their shit is top shelf.
Right.
Those Kansas City Barbecue's Rocket Pig sandwich.
Yeah.
Is pulled pork, bacon, fried jalapenos, pepper jack cheese with the Joe's Kansas City barbecue sauce. It is the absolute shit. They have another one called the Z-Man, which is like brisket with an onion ring, and I forget what it is because I always get the Rocket Pig. I used to get the Z-Man, which everybody loves the Z-Man. It's like legendary, but the Rocket Pig is insane. So like if you like pulled pork, and bacon. I forgot slices of bacon. So bacon too. So pulled pork, pepper jack, fried jalapenos, just enough fried jalapenos, not the like super spicy blow you out, but just to give them a little kick, and then bacon on it. It is freaking awesome.
I implore everyone, for me, whether you're a COVID hoaxer, you're an anti-vaxxer, fuck off. Just take it so I can get this sandwich. Just do it for me. Because I will come to Kansas City for our fantasy baseball draft. Just so I can get it. Just
get the Rocket Pig. Oh, it's so good. We always go to Joe's. We usually always go to Joe's when you guys are in town.
Aaron Solgood, on the Italian sub, absolutely. You gotta get some gabagool, right?
Yeah.
Gabagool.
Love the Italian sub.
Yeah. One of the most searched words ever, the gabagool.
Are you down with the Chicago Italian beef? Because I'm not.
I fucking love it.
Really?
It is the French dip on steroids. I mean, it's going to get messy. It's going to get real messy. What's one of the
French dip? I love a cheesesteak dipped in au jus. Like that's the shit.
What's one of the big places? It's not Al's Italian beef. What's the other one? Something with a P that does the Italian beef. Pataro's, Porter's. What is it in Chicago? Because I went to cover UNLV Northwestern last year, and they had that place, and my God, it was awesome. Jesus Christ. Yep. Yeah, we had a Big Al's here in town. They moved into like an old diner, and they just got crushed. Yeah, it's Portillo's. Yep, it's awesome. Beautiful stuff.
Are you down with the chicken sandwich being?
Well, the thing is, that's a coverall. There's so many good chicken sandwiches. So yeah, he nailed it. Yeah. What do you have a fast food chicken sandwich that you like, or have you graduated to Nashville hot chicken? Which, by the way, everyone is now doing Nashville hot chicken. 98% of them suck. Like, do it. Don't half-ass it. Do it.
I like a good spicy chicken sandwich, and I'm probably not the snob you are, as you just put it out there, because they all seem pretty good to me. Like, take some chicken, fry the shit, and put a little spice in it. It's like pretty much foolproof. Like, they're all pretty good to me.
Yeah.
If it's a real chicken breast, and you fry it right, and you put the spice on it, throw a little mayo, some pickles, we're good to go.
Did you ever get involved in the Big Chicken Wars? When
Yeah.
Big Chicken had that whole thing with Wendy's and Popeyes and Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, I'm not standing in line for anything. Like Joe's, people stand in line to go inside, and I love eating in there, and they're ruthlessly efficient. I pick up and take out. Roll in. Here it is. Let's go.
My audience knows that Popeyes basically got, I don't know, $200,000 worth of free advertising because we fucking never stopped talking about that sandwich. I just found the whole thing fascinating. Like, it was a 98%.
That had been around forever. That ended up being
No, they reintroduced the sandwich, but they got so much rub on social media. It was like one of the great social media campaigns.
Yeah,
because you can go there now and there's no line, and like people were stabbing each other over the chicken sandwich. It was insane.
So it's like what? Vaccine hoaxers and then chicken sandwich, or is the chicken sandwich above the vaccine hoaxers?
Who's crazier?
I just jumped into your political wars there, buddy.
I know you did. Yeah.
You're so happy because I usually avoid that shit all the time.
Now you're screwed.
Right into it.
Now you're screwed. Shaq's Chicken is good here. We have a Shaq's Big Chicken. He's got a chicken restaurant, all sandwiches. I think it's all sandwiches. Maybe there's fingers. Really good. He does a good job. It's like $8 for a chicken sandwich. It's gigantic. Really good.
Once everyone takes the vaccine and I come back to Vegas, I'll have to check it out.
Oh God. Good for you, man. If you don't lose, I'll tell you what. If you don't lose weight right now, like just in general, guys, I'm 3. I'm legit because I'll say on the air I'm 5'5", 400. I'm legit. I'm going over 300.
I'm proud of you.
April, I'm proud of you. I'm going over 300. Yeah, lobster roll, the Italian beef, the Reuben fried chicken. He went. I think this is very Northeast. He went with the bacon, egg, and cheese.
I'm down with that. Like, I love a great breakfast sandwich. I make a killer breakfast sandwich. It's like that thick, right? With like a big. I'll even do it healthy style. Like, I'll make a frying pan of egg whites, cut it into fourths, and then I have egg whites like that thick, and then I'll go with like 2 pieces of Swiss cheese, and then I'll do turkey when I'm being right. But like, you can also just throw bacon on there. So good. A great breakfast sandwich. Like, you're shitting me. That's so great to have it. Like, being anti-breakfast is anti-American.
You know what's funny? I'm not anti-breakfast. It actually makes me sluggish. Like, it doesn't energize me. It actually makes me sluggish.
So you'll do breakfast for dinner then?
Yeah, I would get.
My wife watches that for dinner every now and then, and my kids are like, I'm like, are you what? What?
I mean, we have, when we're back open again, we have so many. Well, not so much anymore, but we do have a lot of good local restaurants and bars that serve food, and they've got breakfast 24 hours. And
love it.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit, no doubt. All right, so you see the list here. There should be an obvious number one, right? What's missing? Like, would it just be like a great hamburger? Is that a sandwich?
Somebody might say burger. If it's not a sandwich, why? Is there something? Is there a right answer I'm supposed to get?
No, I just thought he was counting down to number one. He left it open today, and I started to rack my brain. I'm like, I think there's something obvious, and then I started going a little more ethnic. You know, I was looking at because he's pretty. I don't even know how I'm describing it. Like, he's out there. It doesn't mean if he likes a banh mi or a torta that he's like crazy. But I thought I expected him to be creative. But I also think there's like some obvious options, like his grilled cheese. We got some grilled cheese up on the board.
I think grilled cheese are phenomenal. They're so simple, so easy, but they're so good. And you can actually, you add turkey and tomato and make them like the fancy, like, Food Network grilled cheese. Those are fantastic. Just a straight, as much cheese as you can put between 2 pieces of bread, lather in butter and fry the crap out of it. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yep. We got a Cuban here. We got a muffaletta. Muffalettas are really good. Cubans are awesome.
You've been to the tavern with me, right? The tavern has a phenomenal grilled cheese. Like, my daughter gets it. She hates it because it's like 3 different cheeses. It's super good. She's like, there's too much cheese. Oh, yeah. It's impossible. It's an impossible conclusion to say that a grilled cheese has too much cheese.
Too much cheese.
But it's like, for the kids, it's like got to be, 80% bread. For me, I'm like, that is the greatest sandwich, like dripping down everywhere. It's so good. Now,
a muffaletta is basically an Italian sandwich, New Orleans style, and it's got
New Orleans style. It's fried.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say New Orleans style. It's a New Orleans sandwich, so it's got a lot of elements of the Italian sub, but it's got sort of an olive dressing on it. I'm trying to think what's on it. It's I know it's ham, cheese, and there's a couple of maybe some salami. It's good. It's real good.
I think number one might be bologna on hand. Like, when you're really you grab a slice of bologna, you just jam it in your mouth.
I thought he was going to go.
I did that when I was in college.
I thought he was going to go very basic and do fried bologna sandwich.
I've had a pretty good one. I don't think it's everyone who drools over it can slow down, but it's good. It's good. What's number one on yours?
Oh, on mine? I already said it.
By the way, really, grilled cheese with tomato soup, 100%. Got your back on that 1,000,000%.
Boy, the McRib is such an interesting choice. It is unbelievable. People who like it, it is unbelievable. When you go back to it, like you just gave the sound, every 5 years I'll go back to it and I start chewing it and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'll eat anything. I'm like, I know I'm getting old and my teeth are like all breaking. I'm like, I can't even get through this. Like, you have to cut the opposite way. You gotta. But I know people who freaking love the McRib.
No, I'm gonna pass.
Love it.
Can't help you on the McRib. Can't help you. Can't help you. Do you like more spices now? Are you finding that you're gravitating towards more spicy things? Like, maybe because you get old and your taste buds get bland, but like spicier is better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
too.
I'm down with spicy. The SO actually, because she's on a big veggie kick, and I don't know. She was watching the movie Chef with Favreau, and she had this whole thing going on where she's like, I want to go support a small business, and there's some like all vegan place around the corner. She got chicken sandwiches that were not real meat today, but they were spicy,
and
they're not meat. It was passable. I mean, I told her it was great. But it was passable, but there's something about chicken and the consistency and then sort of the juices of the chicken that they could not replicate.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, if you have to not eat meat, you could get away with it.
You're like,
I can live on that.
Good alternative. Right.
All right. So enough of the suspense. His number one is not BLT. We did have a big discussion today about PB&J.
Oh, both are good. Both are strong.
Yeah. He actually went a little more upper crust, and he went with a bagel sandwich with lox.
No. Jesus, no.
I feel like that's more of in a bracket. That's more of like a 12 seed that could pull an upset on a 5, but I'm not sure it's a 1.
No. Listen, I like putting a sandwich on a bagel, but no.
Yeah.
No.
What do you want me to tell you?
What a letdown.
I know. It was weird.
What a letdown. No.
It's his top 10.
Well, it sucks. His number one sucks. A lot of good sandwiches on there. He's lost his mind.
Bagels and lox, Eddie. Bagels and lox.
Like a bagel sandwich with like a bacon, egg, and cheese on bagel. Great. That's a great choice, but no. I mean, no.
Wow. What terrible response.
No, nobody said that. That's awful.
That's rough. All right, sorry to close on a downer note. That's his list. It's not mine. Don't hate me.
So sad.
I'll if you follow me on Twitter, I think I made a comment today, probably about 4 tweets back. Go light him up. Go call him a piece of shit. Seriously. Can you imagine if he suddenly gets like 10 tweets like, you fucking asshole?
Isn't there enough of that? Like, people being yelled at for having an opinion that you don't need to go contribute to it.
But I just think a random
yelled at for putting facts out there, and you're gonna send this poor bastard, into oblivion by urging people to go shit on him for his sandwich choices.
Just a random crew of Las Vegans and Kansas and Missouri folks getting after him will be like, wow, man, a lot of people are listening. I'm getting a lot of attention for this one. Sure you are.
Holy shit, I'm the king of the sandwich, man. They give a shit.
Now hold on a second. Now I'm inspired. I have to actually get the freaking handle here. Where is it?
With the guys, you're not really going to do it, are you?
Yes. What am I? Yeah. So people should go. He wants feedback. You freaking strung us along.
If you go at our urging, though, please be responsible and have some wit and some humor, but don't be an asshole.
No, act like a bot.
Bullshit on social media. You don't have to be one of those people. I love this. Like, put up Miller's comment. You see what I'm saying? Like,
no.
Do you not have any ethics in you, Steve?
Pickle Gamer is late. It wasn't a hot dog. It was not a hot dog. I made that suggestion on the air just to get people worked up that a hot dog would be number one. Here,
I love. Yeah, thanks, Brady.
Everyone, copy and paste some version of this.
No, do not. You son of a bitch! Don't. No. I'm gonna have to sit there like, dude. Here's the thing. Go back, watch the show. You'll see that I was like, no. Everyone has an opinion. Whatever.
That's his name. Dustin Swedelson or Dustin Swede Elson.
Dustin's Wedelson.
Dustin's Wedelson.
Sounds like maybe it might be your burner account.
No, he's a real person, and he's a big fella too, and but he's up and down, man. He diets, he gains it back. I think he just went from like he's big. He's a big guy. He went from like 351 to like 320, like a month and a half. So,
wow.
I hope he's not eating those
people. I battled my way my whole life, so
Wait, it's getting personal. His name sucks now.
I told you.
Coming for your throat.
You're such a.
Oh yes, that shitstorm is coming for Dustin.
Oh, you're such an asshole. Oh, you're such an asshole. Guy puts out a fun thing about sandwiches, and look what you did.
Yep. Next, you know what? I'll give you.
You better reach out to the man.
I'll give you a little more insight too. He said his next list is dips. Like proactively say, don't fuck up the dip list. All right.
Oh man.
Stupid ass dip, some sour Greek stuff. Cut it out, brother.
Okay.
All right, everybody. That'll do it. Hope you win some football games. Now I have a little homework assignment. I hope this goes well.
Win some football games. Enjoy some sandwiches.
Yes.